in front of God. We come into the full acknowledgement of God. And so now we have this acknowledgement of the Gentile spirit, that we don't even know that we're under a Gentile spirit. We think that this is the norm, this is life, this is the way we live. We don't expect any other existence. This is the existence, this is the universe, this is it, this is life. Okay? But of recently, the Lord has been showing me that I have subjected my people under the Gentile spirit. And I was saying that we are under Babylon from Nebuchadnezzar. But the Lord has shown me since that He has given the whole earth, all the kingdoms of the earth, to King Cyrus of Persia. And when we take the book of Israel, we will see where it says that, where King Cyrus says that the Lord has given me all the kingdoms of the earth. Okay, so we are still under the Gentile spirit, but the Lord is going to bring the Gentile spirit down. He's going to cut it off, and that means His kingdom will reign. Okay, so we really by now should be in that type of awareness, in that type of teaching, that type of acknowledgement. But something else has come in on the plan and deviated the mind. So today, people are just so unaware in the physical reality. And there was a time where the chat room will fill up, and the call line. But something's going on in the spiritual realm that's deterring the people. Whatever that force is and was, that has changed our sight, that we don't even know that we're in the end of time. It's working even more harder to ensure that people are further away. But can I tell you, very soon the Lord is intervening on that, and He's going to break the power of those powers of darkness. He's going to overturn them, overrule them, and the people will begin to seek out the messengers of God and want to know what is taking place. They're going to want to know what is taking place. So now, in my previous reading, when I read Revelation here, and it says, "And there was given me a reed like unto a rod, and the angel stood saying, Rise and measure the temple of God, and the altar, and them that worship therein." So now this is anti-Gentile spirit, because when we read Ezra, the book of Ezra, that, as I said to you before, that King Cyrus releases the Lord's people, because they've been in exile. So they're coming out of exile, and they're able to leave where they were staying in Babylon, and travel over to Jerusalem. And there they are to build the temple of the Lord, and it has to be in a position and under the guidance of the Lord, and also to build His temple, because right now most of the temples that are out there are false temples. They're not the Lord's true designating temple. So, and the temple is a place where we can connect with the heavens, for there sitteth our Lord. So we can connect with the Lord, and therefore He can send down His blessings through the way we worship Him. And the worship means to bring, in those days, to bring sacrificial offers, which was the cattle, the ram, the goat, and the lamb. And they had to be cut in a certain way, arranged around the altar, and then burnt offerings were sent. And that was a sweet aroma to the Lord. And in that was the atonement. And the atonement is mean coming into one with the Lord, where He can send down His blessings through to us into the earth, you see. So the Lord is saying that this is to be retrieved, this is to be put back together again, so that I can connect to the people according to my word, according to my commandments, according to my statute and decree. So first thing is to build back my temple. And that's what we see with King Cyrus when he releases God's people from exile to go back to Jerusalem to build up His temple. And there was given me a reed like unto a rod, saying the angels, saying, rise and shine, rise and measure the temple of God, the altar, and them that worship therein. Yeah. So this is a criteria that we have to meet very soon on the appearance of the Star of David. We have to know the temple of the Lord. We have to know his altar and know how to worship him. That's the very first stipulation here. And then it goes on to say, but the court which is without the temple leave out, and measure it not, for it is given unto the Gentiles, and the holy city shall they tread under foot 40 and 2 months. And I read that, and I was comparing that to when I went over to St. Mark, and I was comparing it to the tempter that came to Jesus. And the birth of Jesus in those days. So if we go over to chapter 4 of St. Mark's, the temptation of Jesus. Jesus, full of the Holy Spirit, returned from the Jordan, and was led by the Spirit in the desert, where for 40 days he was tempted by the devil. He ate nothing during those days, and at the end of them he was hungry. And the devil said to him, If you are the Son of God, tell this stone to become bread. And Jesus answered, It is written, Man does not live on bread alone. The devil led him up to a high place, and showed him in an instant all the kingdoms of the world. And he said to him, I will give you all their authority and splendor, for it has been given to me, and I can give it unto anyone I want to. So if you worship me, it will all be yours. And just before I started the show, I was reading this, and I thought, somebody is fooling somebody here. Somebody is fooling somebody here, because he says, So Jesus answered, It is written, Worship the Lord your God, and serve him only. Okay? So the devil led him to Jerusalem, and had him stand on the highest point of the temple. If you are the Son of God, I've lost myself here. It is written, Worship the Lord your God. Yes. If you are the Son of God, he said, throw yourself down from here, for it is written, He will command his angels concerning you to guard you carefully. They will lift you up in their hands, so that you will not strike your foot against a stone. So he's going on to Psalms 103 there. Jesus answered, it says, Do not put the Lord your God to the test. When the devil had finished all his tempting, he left him until an opportune time. So this is taken from the New International Version, and the King James Version calls him the tempter. Okay, so I equated that chapter 2 of Revelation 11, when he says, For it is given unto the Gentiles, and the holy city shall they tread under foot 40 and 2 months, which works out to be 1,260 days, which is 3.5 years. Okay, so this is what the tempter, is saying to Jesus. And as I read it earlier on, it was a big deception that was taking place. And that is a prophecy. That is a prophecy that this is what will happen in the preparation of the Sabbath, or this is what's going to happen in the end of an age. Because, right now I'm going to just jump, because I've already gone through this part here. But I want to kind of give it a different perspective here, and a message in due season. So I said that in reading verse 2 of chapter 11, Revelation, the book of Revelation, it says, And the holy city shall they tread underfoot. Okay, and so in reading say Luke's chapter 4 here, Jesus, the tempter says, he says, the tempter led him to Jerusalem and stand on the highest point of the temple. If you are the Son of God, throw yourself down. The Lord led him up to a high place and showed him an instant all the kingdoms of the world, and he said to him, I will give you all their authority and splendor, for it has been given to me. Okay, and I can give it to anyone I want to. So if you worship me, it will be yours. Okay, and we know that he's just fooling. The tempter is follying with Jesus. Right now, the prophecy is exactly as it is now. The world is in a great deception. There's a conspiracy taking place right now. That humanity, most of humanity, is so unaware of the relevance, the importance of the time that we're in. They are unaware that now is the moment to truly invest in our salvation, in our eternal life, if we never ever thought of it before. They're unaware that the word of the Lord through the prophet is that we're not to take any burden over into the Sabbath. So there's going to be a cutting off time, and that's it. It's too late for us. And probably that's when the people will begin to realize, and they'll start to flood around, see what information they can get to start some quick form of preparation. You see, but there is a redeeming quality here, because the Lord has said to me that their spirits are ready. So now, what is it left to get ready? And I believe that's where I come in by saying to you that I carry a message unique to most of the messages out there and above all the other messages, and that we are entering into a higher consciousness. Okay? So the Lord wants the people of the earth to shift the present consciousness, that low awareness of Him, and come into a higher awareness of Him, to answer the higher call, and that is holiness. The Lord is calling us to come into His holiness. Okay, but it talks about the holy city in verse 2 and being under the Gentiles, and I'm saying that we are under the Gentile spirit. So all the religious beliefs and rituals, traditions that we go through is the holy city. Okay, is the holy city. But the Lord is saying, I want you to come higher in me. I want you to come into purity of me. Okay, so that will come under judgment. And I will have two prophets to witness against the Gentile spirit. So right now, very few are able to keep the temple of the Lord, to keep His altar, and to worship Him at His altar. You see, so the altars of the Gentile spirit are false altars. They're idolic, and there's no temple of the Lord, true temple of the Lord. You see, nor any true worshipping of the Lord. That's what's taking place on the earth right now. You see, there's very, very rare true worshipping of the Lord. See, so that's that holy city that's been spoken of. The Lord has shown me through the prophet Isaiah that He will kill the spirituality of the people. He will destroy the bread. So very soon you're going to find that preachers and pastors and evangelists, apostolics, prophets will not be able to preach, because the Lord is going to destroy that spirituality. You see, so this is the importance of shifting the paradigm, shifting the consciousness, and coming into a higher being, a higher consciousness of God. And that means that what we manifest, the whole of our being and our existence, will be completely different. And I've said before that a bird is in a consciousness of flying. So the bird experiences flying. And have you seen the way the bird takes off? When the bird walks along the ground, and then it raises its wings, yeah, and it just starts to soar. It's like something has scooped up the bird, and the bird just begins to soar in the air. The bird doesn't even have to do anything to really rises itself in the air. The bird just kind of lifts up its wings, yes, and then brings the wings down, and something just raises the bird up, and the bird begins to soar, and it's like it's flying through layers of the air, yeah, and it just flaps its wing, and the wing is really The wings are really there to allow the air to flow through the feathers and through